Good morning, everybody. It's Cindy the Scrapologist. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, thank you for watching. I'm super excited to show you this project today because I think this is something brand new. Not sure, but it was inspired by a YouTuber that I saw called Mags Woodcock. I love her grungy style. She did some collaging and grunging up of the paper roll that you put in adding machines, the white rolls. And I don't have any of those, but I do have a whole bunch of piano rolls in my stash. And so I thought, well, what a great idea. I'm going to make my own grungy rolls so that when I want to, I can just pull something off the roll, cut it with my scissors, and add it to a journal page or a journal cover. I'm really super happy with how these came out, and I want to show you the process. So I am going to start. I did cut it because I thought that this paper was too big this way. I kind of wanted to have three separate segments, but you can certainly do one whole sheet and cut it out as you need it. But for me, for my brain, it's easier for me to collage in smaller segments like this rather than having a whole blank sheet. And I think it gives it more variety. So that's just the way that I'm doing it. So I'm just going to pull out some more. I'm going to pull out some more of my piano roll here. Cut three more strips. And then I'm going to get myself set up so this isn't constantly rolling. That's part of the problem. But I just set something here, something large and heavy here, like my thing of wax seals. I'll put it right here so that it stops rolling towards me. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to flip these out of the way and just start with this left side. I need to cut more. Cut a longer piece and get all the rest of that out of the way. Okay, so what I decided to do, and let me get this wallpaper out of the way as well. Beautiful wallpaper in one of the available in one of the collections in my shop. So what I decided to do was sort of work in sections. So I split the piano roll down this way and horizontally, I guess you would call it. And I'm also going to work vertically. So I consider this to sort of be one piece, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a space. I don't know why. Again, it's just the way my brain is working today. And I'm going to do a new collage here. So let me show you the supplies that I used to make these three, and don't you love the sound? To make these three segments that I just showed you. They are supplies that I'm sure you already have in your craft room. This is a great project for using up your scraps. So I have all sorts of things in here. I have old paper towel. This is what I use to clean up my stamps when I'm done and my ink and things. I have pieces of old digitals. I have all kinds of pieces of wallpaper and book pages and scrapbook paper. So get out your scraps and get those ready. Have a nice variety there, which we always do. And then you are going to need some stamps. I'm just using a variety of these kind of stamps, and I have some that are borders, that do borders and lines. I want a variety of shapes. That's why I like this one. It has numbers, it has circular ones, it has big words in case I want those. And then I have some borders, and I have a ruler and some paper, the edge of spiral bound paper. I have some tickets. I have some script. And then I have this one from Bo Bunny. I love this is just a bunch of blobs. So, but you don't need a lot of stamps. Just pick out, even if you just have two, you will be able to make something really, really pretty because we're doing so much layering. This isn't all about stamping. So you'll need some stamps. Oh, and I have these dots, which I love. I also tried to do some tea staining with this paper, but it doesn't absorb very well. It's got a gloss on it. So what Mags did with her adding machine roll was she had a little tray of tea and she rolled it up, or just kept it in the roll, and she set it in the tea like this, and it absorbed the tea, and she had a really cool effect on the sides. That doesn't work with the piano roll, unfortunately. So I am using some Tim Holtz Distress ink. This is the old standby vintage photo. I have some in this little eyedropper glass bottle to re-ink my pads. So I like to take this sometimes and I'll water it down and put it in a bottle. So that's what I'm using to sort of get this dirty tea stained, coffee stained look on here. The other thing that I'm sort of experimenting with, which you do not need, but I am using it on my project, is rusting powder by Paper Artsy. Sorry for the glare. And that's how I got this rusty blob here. But that's not necessary. Really, you could do this project with scraps, black ink, and a vintage photo or some other color, whatever color you like actually, ink pad. That's really all you need. I also stuck some washi tape on here, so if you have any tape or masking tape or washi tape, you might want to grab that. These are strips that I just take scraps and sew randomly on my sewing machine when I sort of want to sew and don't want to do anything that requires any brain work. I have a bunch of those scraps. So I think that a bit of sewing really adds some interest to this. That's really all you need. Oh, I did use some stencils. I have a couple of Tim Holtz ones. I also have ones that I cut out with my Silhouette machine. This is just on the back of, this is the cover from a Graphic 45 paper pad, so it's a little more durable. And I use these all the time as stencils, and after they wear out, I just cut another one with my Silhouette. So that's a really cheap way. This cost me then what 10 cents I think to make, as opposed to whatever this cost me. So I did use some stencils, and here I put a little bit of texture paste. And let's see on this one. These are mostly just scraps. These are scraps of handmade paper that I stamped on, and stamps and some of this distress ink. That's really all I used on this one. And I love the contrast between the brown grungy and the black. I love to have pops of black when I'm doing this kind of grungy style. I think it just really adds a lot to it. So I'm going to use a black ink pad and also my Tim Holtz vintage photo. And I always like to have this disclaimer whenever I'm working with piano roll. I'm not lecturing, but I just feel obligated to say that please don't use piano roll that still will go into a player piano. These are just, I'm a musician and it hurts me to think that people are doing that. This particular one is too fragile to go into a piano a player piano anymore, so I feel okay using it. But I have put many back that I feel are still able to be used. So that's just my personal preference, and it makes me feel better to say that. Thank you for listening. I also, at the end, am going to show you a new technique using incense to create burns in this, which I think is going to be really cool. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I got my glass mat because I want to work on this so I don't ruin my cutting mat. And I changed my shirt because I don't think white sleeves are really smart for this project. So I'm ready to go. I'm all prepared. The first thing I'm going to do is go to my bag of scraps, and I'm still going to continue to work with this color palette. Just sort of grungy browns and blacks. And here, there's going to be a glare, so let me try to put that there so you don't see that constantly. So I'm just going to go in my scraps and pull out things that are in this color palette. That's a really cool piece of wallpaper. Can you see the glitter? That might be sort of fun. And I have some pieces of sewn paper. I do want to pull out some of those. I might have to make some more. And I just have some scrapbook paper. Some Tim Holtz paper. More book pages. And here's some. Ooh, and this is embossed. Here's some baker's paper. I love using this, and that's got some embossing on it. I ran it through my Sizzix machine. That would be fun to work with. Beautiful pieces of wallpaper. I want to do something with this. Here's some more. This is wallpaper too. That might be kind of fun. That's what they call a grass weave. And some nice little scraps. Take that white one and put that away. But here's some nice scraps. Don't want these. And I think that's good. I have plenty more. Where that came from, don't we all? Oh, I'm also going to pull out some of these. This is from a digital kit in my shop. I have some scraps there with some words on it that might be kind of fun to grunge up and use. There's another one. It's kind of white, but I can always distress it. And maybe I'll use this. I don't know. I'm going to put it in my pile. Oh, and I also have some scraps of sheet music. I think I'll use those. Here's some sewing pattern paper. Okay. I think I have enough here that are in this color palette that I want to work with today. Oh, and one more thing that I grabbed from my sewing machine. So these are the strips I was telling you about. This is scrap paper from when I make mini albums. It's cardstock, and I just messy sew in my sewing machine. I just mass produce these all at once. This is a real messy one because this I use as the end card whenever I'm sewing. I stick this in at the end so I don't have to keep hold of my threads when I start my next sewing project. But I just always have these on hand, and you grunge them up and they look really cool in projects. So that's basically what these two things are here. Is I just cut them down and grunged them up with Tim Holtz photo. So that's what I'm going to start with here. I am going to, whoops, it's curling on me. Let me put this back. This was holding it in place. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is just start with a little bit of collaging, and I do want to use some snippets of this, just randomly cut. I want to use one of these, the messy one. this messy one down. And grunge this up with the Tim Holtz photo, vintage photo. Put a little more on the edges. And I think I'm just going to glue those down. Maybe one there and one here, overlapping it a little bit. I need to, wait a minute. Need to straighten that out. There we go. It was fighting me. That's the only challenge with this project, is that it constantly wants to roll back up on you. Put that down. This is a great way to get rid of your scraps and make something totally awesome. Maybe put that right there. And then I think I'll take some of my masking tape that I have and maybe use some of this. Wait a minute, maybe I'll put that on last. I want to, oh sorry, I'm gonna try to cover over that glare. There we go. I'll leave that there. And I don't just want all solid strips. I want a huge variety, so I'm going to use my punch that I have here. This is a Martha Stewart punch. I don't know the name of it. I apologize. And I think I'm just going to punch through this. Oop. If I can get it to line up properly. There we go. So now I have some cool holes in that. I think I'm going to cut this down and grunge it up too. Maybe a little skinnier, because I don't want this to look too uniform. And I'll put it maybe right there. Maybe right there. And the reason I want that, Mags did something really cool. So anything that had holes in it like that, she took a fine pen and she did like little doodles inside. And I thought that was super fun. This whole project is super fun. So I kind of like that. You probably can't see it too well. Well, there you go. So you can do little things like that, which I thought was nice. I think at this point I will go ahead and see if this is gonna, the watered down version, I think it's probably not going to stain it enough. No, it's just going to come right off. So I'm going to use my Distress ink, just exactly undiluted, and sort of put some down. And get my edges to look really distressed. That's going to have to dry, but I like the way that turned out. Yes. I think I'll go a little higher with it while I'm at it. I just kind of don't want my edges to be plain. I'm going to have a little bit of a border. I like that look. Get rid of that glare again. And then I'm just going to take and do some dots, some splotches. And I'll probably do more. Oh no! It's a good thing I don't have much left in there. Yeah. Ooh, big bubble. I'm running out. Okay, I might do more of that later. So now I think I will put down some masking tape. Maybe a piece here. See why I don't have my white sleeves on? That would be a mess. And maybe I'll put a piece of masking tape. Oop! This tape's really old. It always tears on me. But that's okay because we want that look. Put that there. And I should have done the inking up last because now I have to let it dry. I'm going to let it dry and then I'm going to come back and we're going to do some stamping. Okay, it's somewhat dry. That big blotch there is still drying. I think I'm going to need to put too much ink there. Let's put this elsewhere. There's still some damp areas, but I do want to keep going. And because these are all rectangular, the tape and all of these, I want to add some interest by adding some circles. So I have the stamps with these dots, and I have a couple of circles in here. I have this one that's sort of a honeycomb, and then I have two more that are sort of like little mini coffee stain circles. And I really like this one. So let me grab my acrylic blocks. Put this on there. Grab my black ink. And I just have this one on hand. I need to buy a couple more, but I'm just using pigment ink. And I think maybe I will do one here. And I do want to go off the edge somewhat. Maybe another one. One more. And I think I'm going to switch to this one because that one's a little big. And I always clean my stamps on a paper towel or a piece of paper and use that for collaging later too. And I think I'll do one here. There's not a lot of rhyme or reason to this, just where you think something is needed. Just kind of stick something there. So I'm going to go off the edge here, put something there, and then I'm going to move to these dots here after I clean my stamp. Some people don't clean their stamps, but I'll tell you, I've had my stamps, not these that I'm using today, but I've had stamps from my old card making days from the 1980s that are still in wonderful condition. So I do like to clean the ink off after I'm done using these. Let me use this. I'm not going to put that on a block. I'm just going to actually, Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want, yeah, I want smaller dots. I probably should have used this one here. This is turning more luscious by the moment. I have to find a use for that. Yeah, let me just use these. This Bow Bunny collection, I don't know if you can still get it, but it's called Terrific Textures. And it just has so many cool elements in it that you can use for collaging. I don't use this one very often. I'm not a big fan of stars. Um, but I might end up cutting that star out and using this border for something. But I really like this Bow Bunny stamp collection. Okay, I think I'm going to put some right there. Oops, that didn't stamp very well. There we go. And where else do I need a little something? Maybe right here. And then just stamp it off a little bit. There we go. It's just grungy. It's just grungy, beautiful grunginess. I love it. And then the last thing I want to do on this one is show you the rusting powder. So there are many ways to use this, but the way I'm going to do it on here is I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. You can mix this with water ahead of time and do it that way, but I'm just doing it this way today. It's fun stuff. And I'm going to put a little tiny bit on, sprinkle it on, pour it on, I should say. Just pour it right on. And then you put either vinegar or water on it. I don't use vinegar because vinegar is acidic, and we want these to be memory keeping items, right? So, I mean, I'm not sure how the rusting powder, how archival it is, but I'm trying to be as archival as possible. And then when you first spritz this, it does look gray. But the more water you use, the browner it gets. This is actually rusting powder here. You can see the color that it gets, and you can do paper. This obviously is a paper towel. You can do tissues and make them look rusty. I have another video on using iron paint where you can rust up your book covers and metal pieces and other things like that for your junk journals. I'll list that up above in case you want to watch that. That's a cool product. I actually used it for I did a whole patio table with it one time. So this needs to rust and dry and process. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to pull the strip down and we're going to do another one. But I like the way this is, and I'm just going to not really do much else to it except, where's my Tim Holtz? I am going to grunge up this masking tape just a little bit because it's hard to see. The other one's wet right now, but you can see it's starting to turn a little brown. Well, no, that's where the Tim Holtz leaked into it, but this will start to rust. So I'm going to go ahead and let that dry, and I'll be right back. Well, it is now many hours later since I did the first collage. I just spritzed this with a little bit more water because it was still a little too gray. I'm trying to get that to rust up. But what's happening here in Maine where I live is the past 48 hours we have been going through a really, really bad storm. We had torrential rain, very high winds. I live in an area where the only access in is via a bridge over the Kennebec River. And we are stranded here. We can't get out of the town. And as of the filming of this, I didn't have any internet, but I did get my power back. So I thought I could at least film some videos and try to catch up on that, but I keep losing the power again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the video here, and then I'm going to do this second collage on another video, and I'll do the third collage on another video as well, and just parcel it out so that I don't have one long video that I keep having to redo. Okay, so this is the final product, except for the area that I'm still trying to rust. Here's how it looks. This is the one I did with you all today. This is the one that I did before, and I just love this. It's super fun, and I think that's all I can do today. So hopefully my power stays on. I'm going to attempt to do the second one, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.